I'm doing okay. What's up?
Wait, what's in there for me?
Hey, don't forget to vote, guys. All right, election closes soon.
Okay, perfect. Will do.
I voted. No, good to see you. Don't
Good
worry,
to see you
got
too.
everyone voting for you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I got a call from Carmine.
Okay.
Stating that he got. Apparently, according to Carmine, he spoke to somebody and they are potentially claiming that there's going to be like threats at the inaugural tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I asked him if he spoke to the marshals, anyone. He said no. I asked him, I told him, like, you know, those are like, sounds like terroristic threats. Especially because that'd be state grounds, an election, and yeah, so I don't think there's any marshals around or justices, so I'm letting you know. I personally think this should be taken pretty seriously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, especially with it being so close to, you know, end of election.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll relay the information internally.
Easy. All right, Greyson, appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Neil. Bye.
You take care. Oh, how have you been, by the way?
Every week there's a court case that makes me want to pull my hair out, but I'm alive.
There's a what?
How about yourself? A court case that makes me want to pull my hair out.
Oh, a court case. I thought you meant caucus. Okay.
Oh, God.
I mean, what do you mean?
It feels like there's
God.
a caucus.
The guy. Oh, yeah. Wait, why?
How are you doing?
Wait, when's the last court case? You mean the flop one?
Which one? Which flop one? The first one, the mistrial one, or the one yesterday?
Oh, I didn't realize they had it rescheduled. What happened yesterday?
Guilty.
Really? Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I imagine it was pretty slam dunk then.
You'd hope so, right?
All right. Well, why you like? What happened?
It's just it's one of those things, right? I mean, like, I've had people already tell me that it was like under an hour-long murder trial. That's always a rough. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's always a option to appeal.
I mean, 2 mistrials this far out statute of limitations, appealing a guilty verdict when by the time the appeal goes through, he'll have already served all his time. It's one of those things, right?
I mean, it depends how much people care to have murder on their record. But you're right.
I'd fight it, but yeah.
Yeah. Personally,
I'd fought it on procedural grounds.
Yeah. I still do. I don't know. There's a lot of transparently. I am not happy how slow things are moving on like the structural aspects of things, because we've been given so much power and ability, but it just doesn't move forward. Everything is very now.
Systemically, things could be way quicker. But I think honestly, I think most of the errors we've had recently, like the delays and things, has come down to half of the judiciary just conflicting themselves on things they shouldn't be conflicting themselves on, and like slowing it all down, like cutting our manpower down to, like, you know, basically me. It's an issue, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I see it firsthand, and I keep wondering why. I don't know. I mean, it's almost, look, I'm going to be rather transparent. I'm the mayor, right? I genuinely do not spend time planning shit with gang members because I'm bored, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like at times people want to be judges and justices for the title and to...
It's always been the same.
But that's it. And it's just like annoying. You know what I mean?
They want the social cachet that comes with the title of judge or justice, and they don't want to actually do the work.
Right.
And here's the thing: you see me in PD meetings. They start talking about active cases, I just walk out. I don't think other people do that.
Yeah, which is kind of like, I don't know. It's tough. There's also an extreme noticeable absence, and mind you, it is not lost on me that absency is also in both police departments as well.
Yeah.
I am a strong believer that I rather see a lean department that is locked in rather than absence everywhere, because the city moves so quickly, and unless you have context as to what's happening daily, you're never going to make good decisions. It's
Agreed,
impossible.
100%. If people who just show up, you know, for those big court cases, they're not going to make good decisions, which is going to cause problems, right? It's not just that. I think systemically the hiring practices were done in such a way that what we have is we have a bunch of advocates instead of judges. They all have like a political tilt. They can't, like, yeah, but they were hired that way, right? They were hired to have the same opinion. So that's what it is. And that gets ingrained and taught inside, you know?
Yeah, that's so bad though, because how do you... Yeah.
I mean, I think... Look,
Funny, think of 13
changing
months.
culture, right? You change it one person at a time. I think the first thing you do is you deal with the absentee issue, right? So you get rid of everybody who's inactive.
Yeah.
And then you fill it with people who are around all the time and with a diversity of opinion and thought. And
keep up the good work, boss.
Person by person, issue by issue, you start making everything contentious and, you know, try and find neutrality again, because it's the only way judiciary works.
Yeah, otherwise it's not really a judiciary.
It isn't. It's a political party at the moment. That's the issue.
I feel like while I do think the needle has definitely moved in a better direction, overall, I do think that some of the remnants of what happened to Pred still sort of exists. And I think that's more of an education issue than anything. Which might sound a little mean, but I don't know how else to phrase it. It is an education issue.
You're right,
yeah.
right? There's an education issue because they weren't getting hired for... Here's the thing, right? The term justice should mean you are the legal expert on something, right? You are the last word as far as legal interpretation goes. And that's not what they were hired for. Any of them. Like, even the brand new spanking shiny justices who, you know, been around for the past two months, or, you know, McNee just, you know, been back for a little bit. Like, they were all hired before the outgoing justice, right? They were all offered those roles. So they were all hired by the same, you know, same people for the same reason. That's the issue, right? And until that back's broken and new people are brought in from outside that perspective, nothing's going to change.
The problem is it's inherently nepotistic.
Oh, 100%,
the system.
100%. Yeah.
I genuinely want to move towards a system where the mayors bring in... I wish the mayors or the people or something had some level of a say, and you could advance to a justice. Like, how to imagine, and I'm going to use a hypothetical, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the way it currently works, let's use, like, Ava got blackballed, right?
Oh yeah, it took me her entire elected cycle to get her appointed, and I fought hammer and tong, and she only got appointed like the week the elections opened up. So
yeah, and then you got someone like Archibald, right? But then you had Barrick and Oxalong just magically become judges, like with all, like, no, like, relatively speaking, for free, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. Ava, Archibald, there's probably some others dedicated their entire existence to being judges, yet these randoms, which they are, relatively speaking, just get hired. That is an issue, right?
Yeah.
So how do you break that cycle, right? You can't. There needs to be a mechanism where someone could be brought into the realm of a justice and at least given an opportunity, even if it's caged. Because otherwise you're sort of signing off on, do I like them and not like them? And it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, even in my office, right? I'm not going to hire someone I don't like. Why would I expect justices would be any different? We're human at the end of the day.
The issue, exactly. You're right? But the difference with your office your office requires a public sign-off every 3 months, right?
True.
And the justice office is endless, termless. You know, it is forever. And if you are just going, if it is
unless
going to be
Nino
nepotistic
wakes
to the
up.
point, yeah. But if it's going to be just nepotistic to the point where like literally only their friends get hired, it's interminable. It's never going to end.
Well, it's why I never pushed impeachment, right? Because I didn't want all the justices to disappear, right?
Yeah.
But there's no way to like refill the tank, right? There needs to be some kind of mechanism. I would even say that a mechanism, perhaps, I don't know, it's such a tough one because I don't know if I trust the public to make that decision either.
Yeah.
But there needs to be something.
It's hard, but I think like here's the reality, right? The reality is people say, oh, there's nobody there, you can't refill. Arcadia was hired as a judge like 6 months ago. That's all of her experience. She went from judge to justice in 6 months. And if there's a pipeline that can work like that for her, why can't it work for
Oh my God, this is so good.
Why is it just her?
She's
not like, yeah, she's a fantastic operator, right? In that she plays the political game exceptionally well, but it's still only 6 months experience. And I think that like, if we're willing to allow her to get that and have those levels of like control and power and say so over things, why can't we just like try other people or try people like Archibald, who's been around for months and months and months working as a lawyer?
The thing is, so the key here is metrics. How do you assess the metrics of someone's capability?
I mean, so there's basic competence, right? Basic competence is very easy to assess. You can that's eyeball test, right? Are they a good enough lawyer to make the step up to judge? Are they in court ever? Can you see them? Are they available?
But a justice
availability is one of those abilities that you need, right? They need to be around. So you assess all these things. Are they intelligent? Are they articulate? Do they understand things when you discuss them with it? But then it's kind of like the difference between a patrol cop and a
detective
command member, right?
Yeah,
or a detective,
sure.
yeah. Like they're a different skill sets. So then you're looking at those like interpersonal skills. You're looking at management abilities. You're looking at the way they discuss things. You've got to like test, right? So you bring them in as a judge. You pull them in a couple of bar complaint hearings. You take them to the legislative authority meetings and see if what they had is pertinent and it makes sense, or if they're just there to brush their own egos. You got to test and see, and then hopefully, you know, within whatever time frame you've got, you can make a decent decision on them, and then you move them to justice, and hopefully they're not shooting people with tanks.
Let me ask you a question. What the fuck is a justice like in practice right now?
What should they be, or what are they?
Well, so yeah, because I like the concept of justices, but you had me thinking, why did a justice oversee? Shouldn't justices primarily? You would think a justice is an option for an appeal and oversight over judges.
It's what it should be.
But then, justices right now are just judges who play politics and scuff marshals.
So, right. So,
I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but like,
I understand, because like, here's the thing, right? We basically lost Weiss since Angel stepped down because all he does now is oversee the marshals. So that's all he has been doing, right? Like he's done.
Has he actually been doing that?
Judicial sense, yeah, because you're right. So legislatively, this is what I was trying to tell you on Pred at the time when Angel stepped down. That martial legislation really needs looking at, because inherently it requires that a justice oversees the marshals, right? It is legislatively required,
which makes sense. Yeah.
So I told them, look, you need to change this legislatively, and I told you guys too. You need to change this legislatively so that like the judiciary can take a step back from the marshals, right? Because they need to be.
Yeah, but oversight just means you're functioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they end.
But why does that need to be legislative?
I don't know. The way it's written in, that's all it is, right? But the issue
it's not
is,
though, brother. Like, you mean in the Constitution?
No, it's not in the Constitution. It's in the martial legislation.
But I contested that.
Yes, and I understand it got rolled back to a previous iteration, but that previous iteration still had that oversight clause in it, because that's been there since the beginning.
Yeah, but oversight does not.
I know.
Mean, like, why does legislation need to change if people don't know English?
I think it should be removed to say they're like that they're self-sufficient with, you know,
like Congress has oversight and the president have oversight over the military.
I think it comes down to a
but they don't go to war. They're not
philosophical difference, right? And I so for me, like as probably the only judge who's actually being a servant marshal, like I think they should have their own chain of command, and like, you know, the judges should, or the justice level should engage, you know, at a state of emergency kind of point, right?
Sure.
Like, well, other than that, they should, like, in the field,
Yeah.
I don't see what, I don't know what Weiss's fucking experience or abilities made him think he could, you know, step into the chain of command. That's the issue, right?
Maybe I disagree with you on this. Like, I see it like as it is written. The justices, like you said, getting informed by the marshals, hey, there's a serious threat, whatever, and they decide that there needs to be a state of emergency, and they're functioning sort of like as Congress, right? Like, is there a state of emergency? Do we need to go to war, et cetera, et cetera? But the day in and day out of like, should we investigate this? It doesn't need to be in their purview, and they'd still be oversight. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think we're pretty much on the same thing. Yeah, like, that's where I think day to day they just should have nothing to do with it.
I feel like if something like that requires, and maybe you are right to a degree, because we did have this problem with the previous director, is that certain things should be common sense, because like a lot of these things should at some level be paralleled with the rest of the democratic world. So inherently you should know, like, as the mayor, even though I have oversight over the chief of police, I'm not, you know, showing up like into interrogation rooms. You know what I mean? Like,
but this is the issue, right? Because Weiss ends up stepping in, or the justice in charge. We'll remove the names, right? The justice in charge of the marshals, the person who's been set up as the director, has ended up stepping into their command structure, basically, and then ends up being the commanding officer who signs off on their warrants. And like, to me, that's the overreach, right? Like, it's like, are you a judge or aren't you? Because like, here's the thing: it specifically in the judicial oath, which is one of the grounds for impeachment.
So apparently, Dark and Barrett just got promoted to field directors, so that might they're probably moving in that direction. But if you take Weiss out, there's 3 other justices, right? So I'm more speaking about like the bigger. It's been 3 months, right? And I'm trying to give some leeway, right? But at a certain point, you gotta like knock on the door and be like, you know, get like, are you taking a shit or what's happening, right? Case law, you know, last I spoke to them, they were talking about expanding the marshals and like giving them more powers and this and that. I'm like, bro, like,
based on what constitutional?
Like,
why?
Yeah. Like, where is? And this is what I mean by like, they're not around, right? Who is saying that you need to expand so desperately, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, you're. Then again, it's a very PD mentality where it's like, we need numbers so nothing else matters, but you're missing the what's happening in the city by thinking that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Now, I do think like if Barrett and Dark cook, I think that should be enough. But having an opinion like X, Y, and Z needs to happen without any contextual basis of what's happening on a daily basis in San Andreas is kind of a recipe for disaster. You're kind of
honestly, I think the DOJ is going off internal problems that they shouldn't even come bothered with it. Like, let the marshals do, like, cut Barrett and Dark loose and let them see what they can do. But like, we've got bigger issues to fry.
So it goes back to it, like active judges and hoping that justices actually fulfill that role of panels, or being a I don't know,
higher court, right?
Yeah, like what are they?
I mean, so like there are specific court cases that I can't even touch, right? It should just be justice first unless they delegate it down to me. But with a full panel of 5 justices, I shouldn't even get the option of taking a fucking murder trial. That should be all them. I shouldn't get an option to take like impeachments or like, and they should.
So you believe justices should be like taking
the highest legal example given, right? That's what they're there for. They should be there taking the cases which could set precedent, setting precedent, writing case laws. That's what they should be there for.
I think philosophically, for me, I think a judge should take it, and a justice should be assigned to like oversee it and provide guidance for that judge to make a call, and then turn it into case law if necessary based on it.
Look,
because if you don't exercise
that makes sense.
Yeah.
My issue with that is I don't think there's a justice available who can oversee me. Right? That's like that I'd be insulted if I was assigned somebody with less experience than most paralegals I've had in the past.
And I'm with you on that, but like that's a role thing, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's like I think you're a smart guy, right? But at the end of the day, the justice is your boss, right? And
I disagree.
But simultaneously, I would argue that someone like yourself should be afforded the ability to make themselves a justice, or become a justice.
Yeah,
right?
I'd run in an election if somebody gave me the opportunity to do so.
Yeah,
I'm willing to argue and debate publicly.
How have you been approached to be a justice? And I'm only saying this because look, I McNean, whatever his name is, with all due respect, they were good when they were around. They have been around for an entire 3 months. Why is irrelevant and should be irrelevant when it comes to the need for San Andreas?
No, so I was told that it was about tenure, in that they'd been hired before me by a couple of weeks. How much truth's in that, I don't know.
So by that standard, Barrett Johnson, who with all due respect, with no respect, is a dumb fuck, can become a justice just because he has just judge tags for a certain amount of time?
I mean, I think I'm being told that. I don't think that's the reason, right? I'm not stupid. I think the issue is justice at the moment requires a unanimous vote of all the other justices. And if you've got one person in that room who doesn't like you, you're not getting it.
Yeah, that's an issue. Okay, I want to ask you something. I want you to cook on how there is more of a citywide opinion that can be placed on getting a justice in place, even if it's like for a term, right? I'm not against the notion of like the pool of justices maintaining themselves, but I do think that it's reasonable, similar to the United States and its appointment of Supreme Court, that there be some sort of like other mechanism to balance out that table. You know what I mean?
You need some diversity of thought and opinion. You need it. It's the only way it works.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of hopeful that the legislative authorities would come together and start voting on shit, but I don't know if the justices are interested in that at all.
They've been too slow, brother. Like it took us all term to get through the legislative authority bullshit. I only got
the basic V2 getting in was like took so long.
I don't know why it took so long. We finished it in 2 days. I think I don't know what the reason is, and like it's annoying to me when there's excuses of time and other responsibilities because everyone's got like, you know what I'm saying? A legislative writer is busy in Canada writing legislation. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like everyone's busy, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to.
Like, I know when I did the Amica Rose Hydra case, I wrote case law after that. I don't know why it isn't there. There were things that happened this week that really could have done with exigent circumstance case law written, and it isn't there. And it isn't there purely because somebody hasn't just, I don't know, fucking sat in a room and said, hey, are we voting on this? That's it. That's all that's missing. I don't get it.
I think it's similar to the high command issue that I'm dealing with. Is it's obvious to me that there are entities that are actually checked out at different levels, but are not vocalizing it. And when basic things are not getting done or at least being discussed, right?
Yeah.
And then if, you know, it's just, I think there's a lot of checkout effect. And I think that at least for me, this next term, I'm going to be making some pretty drastic changes. And I'd like your opinion on seeing if we can maybe find a way to have public opinion play its role into the justice picking. I just think that's fucking healthy, to be honest.
I think it's healthy too. I agree entirely. Like here's the thing. Generally with judges having like indefinite terms, it's to allow them to work cases and not have to, you know, oh, my term's up, I'm now having to dump this 5 caseload onto somebody else who has no context, right? That's what that's about. But moving up from justice and down to judge, like it wouldn't touch your judge job, right? So you could still work your fucking caseload. So I don't see the actual issue.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, yeah, I don't know either, to be honest. It's too fucking slow.
It really is.
Yeah. All right.
I love some kind of systemic change. And again, you know, like, good luck with the election. I hope you get in. And like, once again, like, we need you guys, like you and whoever the new Blaine County mayor is, to like start pushing, you know, election legislation, like, so we know what happens. I didn't do it
because I still have been running off the give these guys some time to cook. But the fact that they went and did the same shit as last election and make 1 ballot per made me realize that these guys aren't like firing the synapses.
I really don't understand that. I don't understand why we can't vote for each independent thing.
I don't know.
Because it becomes this weird tactical voting thing where nobody really knows what they're influencing.
It's gerrymandering.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's literally gerrymandering. Like there's 4 justices. There's no shot that these guys had
5.
Like a reasonable cognitive. Oh yeah, there are 5. Like thought about this, and that's and trust me, it's not just the DOJ. LSPD High Command's been like annoying me in that sense too. Is that there's no like rational thought behind it, like not
Here's
enough. Like
that decision was made, you know, obviously by Angel back at like
to stop me and Brett from both winning.
Yeah, right. And I don't think anyone's reassessed it since. And that's the issue, right? It's like nearly everything that happened during that time period should have been reassessed.
But Greyson, that's like when you say it hasn't been reassessed, it's kind of like when you start to take the action of let me start putting this up, or like, hey, elections are coming, and it's just going up, and you're not for a second sitting back and being like, does this make sense? That's ineptitude.
Agreed.
Right? Like,
because I'm gonna be real. The second when we were all stood in the last legislative authority meeting, and I was like, oh, it's election season. Like, all of those thoughts went through my head. I'm like, are we gonna do this the same way? And I don't know if it occurred to anybody else.
I should not have to be the only person walking the dog. You get what I'm saying? Could I have written it 100%? But it's like the fact that I even need to do that is concerning.
100%. like 100% like raw with this, right? I'm worried that if somebody gets elected and removed, the DOJ is going to decide, subjectively based on who it is, who then gets to take over. I'm terrified of that because it's so anti-democratic.
They can't.
There's no mechanism in place as to who takes over next. We don't know if it's going to be the person who came second, if it's going to be the deputy mayor. We don't know if it means immediate re-elections. Like, we don't know, because I'm going to tell you straight up, there were conversations with Fred about all this, and it changed day by day what they wanted to do.
They can't, because the DOJ is the mechanism, but the elected positions, it's elected, but you'd have to, brother, you'd have to have like elementary school level of like, so is it possible that people can do things? Sure, but then they're gonna get fucked. You know what I mean?
I think so, but I think they would still attempt to do it. And the thing is with this DOJ,
yeah, that's
when
they'll
do it in a very self-serving way,
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, the problem is the moment the Constitution came up, there was so much power grabbing, like it was disgusting. And I get that atmosphere needs to be there, but like I don't know. You're.
I mean, I sit in those meetings, right? I went to the first one Weiss went to, and like I'm gonna be real, like the vibe I get is they all think that every justice has the same vote as you, and not that they have a collective one vote between them. I don't think they get that the DOJ itself is one legislative authority.
Based on who?
5.
Are they
dumb?
it's
like,
just
the vibe I get,
Oh, okay, it's a vibe. Okay, yeah, there's no way.
I mean, there's a lot of big dicking going on in that room.
With each other?
I mean, with you guys, with the way I read it.
Big dick on what?
Like, well, put it this way, right? Look at how obstructionist and how slow they roll everything you guys want to do.
Yeah, but the only thing that does is make them look shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's no consequences, right? Because they're not going anywhere.
There are. The only reason there's no consequences is because I'm holding everything back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, no, genuinely. I mean, like, the mechanisms are there. I mean, I could be out of mayor, right? And I can just fucking slam dunk, like, fucking shit left and right. You know what I mean? The only thing mayor does for me when it comes to the DOJ is I get a slightly cheaper, it's slightly cheaper for me to contest things. But, Nino Chavez needed $250,000. Like, I just clapped my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's unfortunate if that is a thing. I'm gonna, keep some level of reasonability, like hope for the best. But it is a hard nut to crack simply due to it's hard to get people. It's hard to get people even in the PD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think if people looking in from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Are like, hey, do I want a career in the law? And they're looking at this and like, well, I'm not really a part of that friend group, so there's a limit to how far I can go. I don't know if we're going to get a lot. I think the system has to change before people start flooding in, But I think it's possible. I think there are people out there who are interested in like some court cases and having some fun there. And then once they're in court and they're comfortable, that's when they decide whether or not they want to be a judge. You've got to start at the top, change it all, and then see what happens. Like, I would love to get to the point, where we're able to divest the lawyers from the judiciary. I think that I
want to see that. Yeah,
I think it'd be so healthy. I mean, we've talked about it before. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would love to get to that point. I don't see the current group of justice as ever giving up that semblance of power over the Department of Justice.
I think they've been doing a decent job, like giving bars out. I think it was more problematic with the last administration. They just sat. You know what it is? At the end of the day, I think people need to be around, and decisions should be made based on experience on the day-to-day of what's happening. Otherwise, you can never make a good decision. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? And I think it's just we're in a place where it's very tough to get that level of care. I mean, even Pred, right? Did it get fucked? Yeah, but he's still fucked off at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, and at that point, he becomes obstructionist to get anything done, right?
Exactly.
Like, now you're a deterrent, right? Like, it's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I say, you know, available is the best ability. You just got to be around. You have to be.
You have to.
Otherwise, move the fuck aside.
Yeah, 1000%. All right, brother.
Stay safe. Good luck.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.